Our topic for today is about logic reasoning. Logic reasoning or logical reasoning is a form of thinking in which premises and relations between premises are used in a rigorous manner to infer conclusions that are entailed or implied by the premises and relations. When we say logical reasoning or logic reasoning, ito ay katwiran na rason. When we say katwiran na rason, it is used in a rigorous manner, premises, to infer conclusions that are included or entailed. When we say implied, ito ay suggested but not directly expressed by the premises and relations. There are two examples of logical reasoning. Logical reasoning, first example is verbal reasoning. In a verbal reasoning is a skills rather than learn knowledge and help us to use language to negotiate and explain with our environment. For example, reading or hearing some information or problem, processing the information, forming a theory, and using this to evaluate the outcome of problem. Like for, like for example, in situation of if you are a participant of question and answer, so you are required to read and analyze the question to get the information of what you read. So, meaning, babasahin mo muna ang mga katanungan at dahil dun, may mapupulot kang informasyon at dahil dun, makakasagot ka ng tama. Because verbal is a kind of processing the question, forming a theory, and using this to evaluate the outcome of problem. Another examples of logical reasoning. The second is non-verbal reasoning. When we say non-verbal, it is involves the ability to understand and analyze visual information and solve problems using visual reasoning. When we say visual, ito ay makikita o sa paningin natin. Like for example, pictures. So when we say pictures, you have to solve the problem. Like for example, identifying relationships, similarities, and differences between shapes and patterns, recognizing visual sequences and relationships between objects, and remembering this. Like for examples, the pictures in the landscape pictures, you can see what is the differences between the object over there. So that is why that is called visual reasoning. When we say visual, nakikita natin sa mga bagay ang mga rason kung ano ang diferensya ng bawat pattern like shapes and recognizing visual sequences and relationships between the objects and remembering this. That is a non-verbal and non-verbal reasoning. Three types of logical reasoning. First is deductive reasoning. When we say deductive, it is remembering or nagpapaalala na rason. Deductive reasoning is a type of deduction used in science and in life. It is when you take two true statements or premises to form a conclusion. For example, when we say premises, it is takes place. Examples: A is equal to B, then B is equal to C. Given those two statements, you can conclude A is equal to C using deductive reasoning. And the second is inductive reasoning. Is a method of drawing conclusion to going from the specific incidents you made or facts you know to be true or false. Like, for example, in the past, ducks have always come to our pond. Therefore, ducks will come to our pond this summer. So, in this example, you can see what is the fact. So, meaning you know what is the fact because you observe already that ducks is always come to our pond. Then you you get the point for the another day. When we say that your ducks is always come to your pond, so meaning that your duck is your duck is expected to visit whether the bad weather or good weather. That is the examples of inductive reasoning. The third types of logical reasoning. It is abduction or abductive reasoning. When we see abductive, it is making a probable conclusion what from what you know. Examples. The grass is wet. So that is your observation. Therefore, it probably rained last night. So when we say the grass is wet, so therefore it's probably rained last night. That is the most likely hypothesis. When we see abductive, kumuha ka ng rason para maging mas kahina-hinala. That is abductive reasoning. Ethical persuasion concerns the moral principles associated with a speaker's use of persuasion to influence the audience beliefs, attitude, intentions, motivations, or behavior. So when we say ethical is a process, action of persuading someone. So when we say persuading, ito ay isang proseso o way, pamaraan kung paano ka maka-impluwensya sa iyo. 7 principles of ethical persuasion. First is reciprocity. And reciprocity give something of value, then trust. You'll get it in return. When we say reciprocity, give the value, then trust, then you get it in return. That is reciprocity. And the second is liking. When we say liking, ito ay gusto o like. It is ask yourself, how can I like them? Once you do, they're more likely to like. Plus, you'll be less inclined to manipulate a friend. When we say inclined, ito ay hilig. So, mabawasan yung hilig natin to manipulate a friend. That is liking. And the third one is authority or authorization. In authority, be an expert on what you sell. Meaning, be authority. Be an expert on what you sell. So kailangan mo maging eksperto sa iyong ibinenta. That is authority. May authorize ka o may authority ka na malaman o maging eksperto sa iyong bininta. That is authority. And consensus. Next is consensus. Social proof other people like you are buying this. When we say consensus, it is tinatawag na pinagkasunduan. So when we say pinagkasunduan, ito ay isang pinagkasunduan or agreement to the other people like you are buying. You are buying the product. So you need to consensus. May pinagkasunduan kayo o agreement para walang masamang mangyari or walang palpak. That is consensus. The fifth is consistency. Between what you say and do what you say. So, when we say consistency, ito ay hindi nagbabago. Kung ano ang iyong sinasabi, dapat tuparin mo. Ito ay tinatawag ito na consistency. So, pag sinabi mo, tuparin mo para hindi ka maging masama sa iba. Hindi ka maging sinungaling. Dapat you can prove what you say. And the next principles. It's called scarcity. When we say scarcity, ito ay kakulangan. When we say kakulangan, it is scarcity. So, scarcity is rare sales while supplies last, but legitimate scarcity reframed as a loss but not a gain. When we say rare sales, bihira na ibenta, but legitimate scarcity reframe as a loss and not a gain. So, meaning when we say gain, ito ay makuha. That is scarcity. And the last is unity. When we say yes to people who are similar to use, people with shared experience and shared sense of identity. That is unity. So, kailangan talaga may unity ang bawat isa. Like for example, you are a businessman. So, or in a corporation. So, you need unity para magkaisa ang inyong tunguhin at maging mas matibay ang inyong pakikipagsamahan. 5 persuasive techniques. First is establish trust and develop credibility. So when we say establish trust, so if we have established trust and the credibility is developed, that is persuasive techniques. Like for example, persuasive writings involves connecting with your audience in authentic way. And the second is understand the reader's purpose and align your own. And the third, pay attention to language. So, dapat talaga may attention tayo sa language natin. Like for example, you are Bisaya. So, everyone talk Bisaya, then you have understanding. That is called persuasive techniques. Kasi, nagkakaintindihan kayo at mahaba-haba ang iyong pinag-uusapan. Kasi kung hindi kayo magkaintindihan sa language pa lamang, there is no other conversation that are involved. The fourth is consider tone. So, kailangan talaga sa persuasive techniques yung tone o tonada ng ating pagsasalita dahil may iba-iba tayong lingwahe pero iba-iba naman ang tonada. So, consider tone. That is persuasive techniques. And the last is use rhetoric and repetition. That is the 5 persuasive technique. 5 components of persuasion. First is the source. Source is someone or something that supplies information, a reference source. So, that is very important that you have a source to supplies information, a reference source. Kasi kung walang source, wala kang supplies information. That is called source. And the second is message. As a communication or statement convey from one person of or group to another. That is called message. You are, for example, you are talking friends, family, that is a message, or a group, that is message. And the third is medium, is a broad term that include the materials and tools and writers, speakers, knowledge makers, way to compare archives and convey message. And the fourth is public, something that is related to, available to, or owned by people, that is public. And the last is effect. Effect means address the audience needs, values, and desires. That is effects or effecto.